Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Call Movement podcast. And today we're solving a case, a very common case. I call it the case of the missing metabolism. Here's the story. A woman doing a lot. She's walking. She's trying to eat better. She's doing cardio. She's cutting back on food. She's trying to be consistent. She's trying to be good. But her body is just not responding the way it used to. And then she starts questioning, is my metabolism broken? Is it my age? Is it hormones? Do I need to eat less? Do I need to work out harder? Do I need to do more cardio? So today we're going to investigate a mystery. I got that one right. Bear with me, okay? So we're looking to some prime suspects, and the suspects here are cardio, eating less, lack of muscle, stress, recovery, and the scale. Boom. Maybe your metabolism is not broken. Maybe it's your body has been asking for a different signal. And the signal might be strength, recovery, more food, more consistent, but probably not more punishment. And my guest today is Calvin Trieu. And Calvin holds a master's in exercise physiology and is a PhD student researching metabolic flexibility, lactate and metabolism, and habit training. And he has published research in cardiovascular physiology and now work as a performance coach, both in person and remotely. He also hosts the podcast called Demand More. Calvin, welcome. Before we move forward, did I miss anything on your introduction that you'd like our viewers to know?
No, first off, thank you for having me here.
I'm very excited for this conversation because for so many years we've been listening about you gotta expedite your metabolism when the woman's feeling stuck. And I described that woman. She is 42. She walks most of the days. She does cardio. She's doing classes 3 or 4 times a week. She's trying to eat light during the day. At night, she gets craving. She sleeps okay, but not amazing. She feels softer, more tired and frustrated. And she says, my metabolism is broken. When you hear that, what are the first clues that you notice here?
Whenever I'm having a conversation with somebody, and whether it's just whatever about metabolism, and if the main common thread over what they're communicating to me is they feel like there's a sense of broken metabolism, if that's the type of phrasing that just naturally comes out through our communication, then I would just try to help them understand you're not broken. Otherwise, you would be in a hospital. If something was at that level of severity, that something's really, really wrong, then you will be in a hospital. But if the thing is, and you listed off a lot of different things of where people who want to feel better, I want to have more energy. I want to perform better, look a better way, feel whatever the reason may be. And if the central thread is that they come back to broken metabolism, then maybe there's just a deficit from an education perspective. Before we even have the conversation, words matter. And so I don't want to assume the other person knows exactly what I'm talking about. So if we're talking about metabolism, then make sure that we're on the same page. And so if the other person I'm speaking to, they don't know what metabolism actually means, and instead of me giving them a super lengthy sciencey word, have you heard of the total daily energy expenditure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is where I would like to anchor people to, so then they have a point of reference. And so for you, whoever you are that's listening, when you think of your metabolism, think of it as 4 different compartments. And so there's 4 levers. And with this, total daily energy expenditure, TDE, this is one way you can view your metabolism. And so at the very base, that first lever is your BMR. So your basal metabolic rate. And this one, you can think of it as all the calories that you need just to keep the lights on. Coming back to this, your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, your brain, your organs, just you sitting there existing, the machine is running, the fire is burning, and you got to stay alive. And so this is the part where people get the aha moment, is the fact that your BMR can account for, depending on the person, depending where you are, it can account for 50 to 75% of your metabolism. And when we translate that over to calories, for a woman's average, your BMR can be anywhere between 12 to 1,500 calories a day.
That translates to me Like, are you telling me that I might be able to spend more calories by just moving throughout the day?
Most people, if you were to Google this, most people are eating around 1,200 to 1,500 calories a day when it comes to women. On average, a woman burns around 12 to 1,500 calories a day just to keep the lights on. And that's not even stacking the other layers of how much movement you do, how much exercise, how much, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that already breaks people's world of being like, wait a minute, I'm eating 1,200 calories a day. Nothing's changing. There's a reason for that because you're severely under eating. And there's a thing called metabolic adaptation, which I'll get to that after I go through the four. And so once you learn kind of the layout of the land, you'll know you can pull these levers. And so that's why, if going back to this TDEE, the first layer is the BMR. That you can adjust that by how much muscle you have and etc. Next is called NEAT, non-exercise activity
Hmm.
thermogenesis. This one is around 20 to 35% of your metabolism. And this one is highly adjustable, meaning you can see me right now if you're watching this. My hand is fidgeting and moving while I'm talking without me even thinking about it. But if I was, say, under eating for an extended period of time and also sleep deprived, your body will go through almost a power saving mode in quotations here, meaning it will redirect energy so then you move less. So you'll find people who are under eating and like lack of sleep, people move less. Like think about yourself, days where
Yeah.
you just don't eat a lot, you're not moving. You're just going to sit there and exist because your brain is going to take priority and your organs and then all whatever. So people who are more consume more calories, they're going to naturally just move more consciously or subconsciously. Thermic effect of food. So when it comes to NEAT, hugely adjustable. And then now we go to TEF. That's thermic effect of food. And so whenever you eat a food item, three main macronutrients, proteins, carbs, and fats. But then it's not a macro, but I throw it into the mix because it matters a lot, fiber. And so think of this as the macronutrients you consume that's broken down like Lego pieces of a giant piece, which is the food. Your body has to metabolize and work a little harder depending on the macronutrient. So protein and fiber, that the fibers will have to burn a little bit more to metabolize and go through that.
When you say metabolize means if I'm eating like more like protein, my body's gonna consume more energy to,
Correct.
so it's gonna,
It's gotta work a little bit harder to chomp it
got
down.
it. Okay, thank
And
you.
then the last lever is EAT, which is exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, this is the part where people are gonna normally dislike me, but this is the part where that's the amount of calories you burn. Roughly, that counts for single digits to barely 10% of your total metabolism.
Mm,
So then this comes back to I see you have a watch right there where people are, which I understand the calories you burn throughout your workout. People are like, I need to go do this HIIT class, do my strength training, start my watch, and close my ring, which is totally awesome. Not like shaming that at all. But people emphasize the amount of calories that their watch says they're burning,
yeah.
but those things are highly inaccurate. There's an error rate of up to 93%.
Mm,
So the calories you burn during your workout honestly means little to nothing. And trying to even eat that back is a slippery slide of not being effective at all. And so, with that said, think of exercise. It's not a very powerful lever when you're trying to
mm-hmm.
say lose fat because nobody really wants to lose weight. People, whenever people say that, once you peel back the onion layers, it's I want to lose fat. Why do you want to lose fat? Because I want to fit better in my clothes. Why do you want to fit better in clothes? Because I want to have this feeling that I did when I was in my 20s. I want to have that confidence. I maybe want to sit down and not feel like my stomach is hanging over my pants and it makes me feel uncomfortable when I'm at this outing with everybody or things along those lines. And so you
Mm-hmm.
peel back the layers and people comes back to, well, I just need to do more calories or do more cardio and do more. And then that's a little bit of a slippery slide. And so turning this back, whenever I'm talking to somebody, I like to first give them that conceptual framework of those four levers, because then I want people to understand. And then you can make the decision on how to pull them accordingly too.
I love the levers. And I've been telling people for the longest time that your what you do on a daily basis, it's what it dictates how your calories are being burned. It's not just going to the gym for 45 minutes It's just the movement. Just keep moving. Instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs, cleaning your house, organizing laundry. All these are little movements that is accounting for your daily expenditure. But I think the message, especially from my end, is it's whatever floats your boat as long movement is part of your daily routine at all times.
Absolutely.
Calvin, we don't hear that message. We need you to tell us.
I like to view it through the lens of have a daily practice. And then the word that gets thrown around a lot that people are developing a interesting connotation with is the word consistency. And
Mhm.
so people feel like it's very black and white. Many people view things, especially in fitness, as either I do it or I don't, or it has to happen at
Mhm,
Monday at
mhm.
6 a.m. And if it doesn't happen, then it's not going to happen. And so
Yeah.
I would challenge you to be more fluid with it and look at it through the lens of how can you be more devoted? How can you be more
Mhm,
devoted to this to have some type of physical practice in your daily life? And you bring up a good point when it comes to, hey, park further, move, like whatever, which those are all great advice. But the biggest lever, and again, I pull back to levers, construct your environment in a way that it works for you and not against you. And
mhm,
so then you don't have to feel like you have to micromanage yourself to think about it being take a big audit. Just like you take an audit of your financial health, your bank statements, your spendings, what goes in and out, audit your lifestyle, audit your
mhm,
behaviors, your patterns, your routines, the person who you are versus the person who you say you want to be. Is there an alignment there? How does your calendar look? Is your entire environmental landscape on every levels and see what can you do to adjust your environment to work for you. That way you don't have to draw more cognitive power to think about like, my God, I have to wake up, I have to go walk 6 miles here. Set your environment to work for you.
mhm,
Just I know I sit in a place of privilege that I'm a trainer. I work in a gym. No matter what, I'm going to get 16 to 20,000 steps a day
mm.
without even trying because my environment is I work in
Allowing
a
you.
gym. I have to walk. I don't have to think about it. I just walk because to do my
Yeah,
job
yeah.
versus somebody who has more of a desk-based job, which I
Mhm.
understand that. And so I can understand the friction and I see my privilege.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you can't get 10 or 20,000 steps a day, don't compare yourself to me or somebody
Mhm,
who has this situation and this environment that gives them that privilege. See what you can do with your environment. So if you have the average American probably has to go to the office, sit for around 8 hours of that
mhm,
job. They
mhm,
have to commute probably an hour there, an hour back,
mm.
stopping for grocery stores,
Yep.
picking up the kids, practice, all those things. And then you have to take care of yourself and do other things. That leaves very little room for movement, which is completely understandable. So within our windows, like understanding, okay, we have our constraint. Say, I am married, and with me and my partner, we have 3 kids. They're all in middle school and high school, and we have practices and everything. How can you set up your environment to work for you? That doesn't take you away from family. So maybe the thing that you do is after dinner, instead of everyone separating, everyone goes on a walk together no matter
Mhm,
what. That way you can double dip to be like, at the end of the day, it's supposed to add to your life. You're not supposed to just think about fitness of how small I can get, how lean I can get, like whatever. Like, cool. If you want to look better without your clothes, that's great. And I'm not that holy that I don't want that either. But at the same time, how can this fitness stuff be a part of a daily practice, a devotion to your life that actually adds to all the different domains of your life? Then it keeps you in this for the long term and it makes it sustainable and fun. Honestly, having a dog is a great hack. You
yeah,
have to walk them.
yeah,
And so by that default, you go for a walk and it's a practice and everyone bonds relationships. So that's one way to implement this and then to just make sure that your environment works for you instead of against you. So that's just one
yeah.
example.
I wanted people to find ways to keep moving one way or another and also be flexible because we're in a stage in our lives, especially women over 35, that we don't need to be adding into the plate. We need to work with whatever we have and make the best of it. And what is happening in my surrounding, what I'm noticing is that they're just giving up. They're just like, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I'm too old. to do anything that is fitness related. I'm not even talking about how the way you look. I'm just talking about I just don't even have energy to go for a walk to grab my Starbucks coffee. That's why I created a call podcast because I want women to understand that you don't create energy. You can reproduce energy. You can transform energy. You're gonna continue to feel low energy. So I think the whole message is creating that lifestyle, and that lifestyle, whatever it is, the way you said is beautiful by devoting your time, create some sort of devotion for something. And it gets into the point that you don't even think anymore that I am exercising. I'm going on a walk. It's not a chore. It's something that I do on a daily basis. It's part of my routine. It's part of my lifestyle. And I wanted the message to be out there in this way to for for women to stop thinking everything now it's a punishment. Because all we see is you gotta work out, you gotta eat less, you gotta add cardio, you need to do strength workouts, your bone masses, your hormones, you're gonna going through perimenopause, menopause. There is nothing positive after you turn 35 and you have kids as a woman right now. The message is so negative out there that I feel like we need to fully understand where we are, work with our limitation, and yet not giving up on ourselves. And that's a great conversation because everyone talks about metabolism and they think like, yeah, don't worry, after 40 the metabolism goes down. That's why we all get fat. So what is the point?
So based off the literature, that's your metabolism doesn't really go down at all until you hit it actually starts dipping. And so that one is a fallacy right there. The things you said was, "Oh, I'm too old for this. Oh, after 30, I'm just gonna be weak and fragile and things are downhill and my best years are behind me and I'm just gonna have to watch as everyone lives their life and I'll just sit here and decease." That is so far from the truth, and that if anyone thinks that, I would challenge you to look at your own mindset. Being, am I in a growth mindset or a fixed mindset with that?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that, why is that? And now lean into the science. Okay, lean into science. Lean into any objective measurement. So right there, metabolism doesn't not start dipping until you're into those ages. But go back to the levers of you pulling any of those levers. And you brought up the energy. Many people don't have energy. I get that. And I saw it from my own mom. I'm one of 7 kids, and my mom's an immigrant. She doesn't exercise, and she's always tired, and she's busy, and she runs a business and raised 7 kids. She has no energy. From one of the reasons is because there's so much stress, is she doesn't eat enough food. And
Mm,
that's gonna be the biggest thing that I challenge that I've ever worked with, even in the bariatric clinic, is most just spend a year just learning how to eat enough food to feel good and then see how much things can change.
yeah. So when I was doing my little mystery case, my number one suspect is cardio, which we can just skim it through. Like, is cardio, is it guilty, not guilty, wrongly accused? I love cardio, but I say it's always the crime scene. Cardio is there. People are always blaming cardio, or they're always saying you need more cardio. So what is your perspective with cardio and metabolism? Is cardio guilty, not guilty, or wrongly accused?
Is not bad in any shape or form. It's
Okay.
not. No,
Okay.
because you need it, because cardiorespiratory fitness, it's not one or another. It's not a camp of cardio this or strength that, or one is bad or one is good. It comes
Okay.
back to both are very, very important for people to age well, to be healthy, to be fit. And the adaptations that you gain from both cardio and strength are different, but they also complement and they both have significant value.
I love that. So cardio is not the enemy, but it cannot be the whole relationship. So I think sometimes cardio becomes the place where women go to pay off the body bill, in a sense that I ate so much. Now I'm going to burn the calories. I feel bad. So now I need sweat. I want a result. So I'm going to suffer with cardio. But maybe the body does not need that, does not need more punishment, needs more strength. And that's the relationship, as you said, which brings back to suspect number 2, which is eating less. That you just said your mom was not eating enough. And then we are always understanding, like, if we eat less, which sounds logical, right? It's tricky. if I eat, my body's not changing. I'm just gonna eat less. But that's so incorrect. So can you tell us why does eating less is actually a backfire to so many women, including your mom?
You just thank you for bringing this up because I realized I didn't touch on this last part that I brought up earlier. Think of this as your body is very efficient. And so people think of this as your body's broken. I went on this calculator online and it said I need to eat 1,200 calories. And I was eating 2,000 because I started tracking my food. I used my fitness pal, I used chronometer, and I was being really good. I did all the things. And I started seeing results after a month or whatever. And I'm eating less but I'm staying at the same macronutrient, that calorie budget, but now nothing's happening and now the weight's actually going up. The scale is actually going up. So there's a thing called metabolic adaptation. And this doesn't mean that your body's broken. Your body is very smart and brilliant, but it doesn't care what you want. All it cares is preservation to keep the system going. They're all a predictive equation and the only way to get a true caloric capture snapshot of you is if I put you in a metabolic ward, a box, and I measured all of the chemicals that are going in and out and all that science stuff. So those equations say you're at 1200. Your body will down regulate systems to adjust to whatever you are feeding the system. So if your normal maintenance was 2000 and then you jump to only eating 1200 calories and you stay there for like a year, then your body's going to adapt to that 1200. And then if you go into a period where you're consuming up above that for a while, then it's almost you're eating in a surplus, but you lowered your bar, your set point so low that now things are not going to be moving the way you want. You've down regulated so many systems and you're probably under muscled. Your metabolic flexibility is not great. You're maybe not strength training because you're trying to do so many high intensity cardio that you can't even recover from. You're undersleeping and you are chronically stressed. And if you are chronically sleep deprived, under eating, but fat loss is the last thing that your physiology even wants to care about because all it cares about is we got to keep this person alive. So we're going to reallocate systems all over the place. And if they're trying to do fat loss, we don't care because you lowered that new bar all the way down. And so that's metabolic adaptation. It's just your body's working very efficiently with the energy you provide it. It'll
Mm-hmm.
just readjust. So this is the part where every single client, every single woman, every single man I've ever worked with, I've had people lose up to 200 pounds. The first thing I have everyone do is eat more food. It's the most counterintuitive thing, but I have everyone eat more food.
Such a big shift. Such a big shift. The answer is not less food. It's it's better support. We forget that the body is a living system. And if the body is underfed, overstressed, and under recovered, why there is that expectation that we're gonna be losing weight? We're limited in time. So I'm gonna move forward to my next suspect, which is low muscle. And I feel like it's very ignored, low muscle. And especially these days, I don't blame anyone on GLP-1 medicine. Hey, whatever floats the boat, but I'm very adamant about muscles. Are you losing your good muscles? Even women who is not on this medicine, like who have low muscle. Can you summarize low muscles with our metabolic body rate? I don't want to I need to use light weights. I just want to tone. I don't want to build. But muscle be the missing piece in this whole case. And I keep telling women, muscles are good. You shouldn't be afraid of muscles. We actually should want a muscles, but some women, they're terrified of muscles. And then can you tell us why muscles are so important for us, especially women over 35?
Totally. And I can completely sympathize from a woman's perspective of you want to feel attractive. You want to have a certain appearance. I think this is where people need to understand that also most people's entry point into fitness is extreme bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is not fitness. Bodybuilding is just people will enhance their body to look a certain way. And that is the extreme, the pinnacle of that sport. when people do the thing. And so just because you walk into a gym will not mean that you will gain a ridiculous amount of muscle right off the
Mhm.
bat. If we just look at it from an objective, it takes time to build adaptation, to even build the tissue. And there's levels of which adaptation sequencing happens first. First is neurological. So you'll notice when you come into the gym, within that first 3 to 6 weeks, you'll notice you get stronger because the signals from your brain to your muscles will enhance the firing, the rate coding, all those jargons. You'll notice you get stronger way faster because it's a big nervous system type of thing. Muscle tissue, that comes a little bit later. Tendons, that comes even further later. And so, but bringing this back here is muscle, it's an endocrine organ. It is so metabolically active. It's so responsible for so many different things. Your muscle has crosstalks. It will talk to your neighbors, your immune system, your bones, your tendons, your organs, and your brain. There's a connection. Your muscle is also your largest glucose disposal site. And so for people who are worried about their blood sugar or all that stuff, your muscles is the main sink, the main bucket that holds glucose. And your muscles can hold anywhere between 400 to like 700 grams of glucose. Your muscle is so important. And then when it comes to even just the immune system or even fat cells, so just you, every single time your muscles are contracting, your load, you provide it with a stimulus. Every rep, your muscles will talk to everything. And
Mhm.
then every system will start to behave differently. Your fat tissue will start to behave differently. Your inflammation system will start to respond differently. And you'll and those things will start happening very, very quickly. But those are things you can't see the changes. Just like if we were talking about blood pressure, me going to the gym, I can't tell if my blood pressure is improving if I'm making sure I don't have any arterial stiffness. When you have a heart attack, you'll notice the heart attack, but that takes decades to build up in that negative consequence. But on the inversion of that, the positive effects of exercise, this is where a lot of people lose the buy-in is you wanna come into the gym and you wanna see the progress, the observable metric, but all you see is, "I look weird, I can't figure this exercise," but underneath the unobservable metrics, things are turning. You are making progress every single time you go get 6,000 steps, every time you go to the gym and get a rep in. Things are happening underneath the surface, but
Yes.
the thing is, you have to be in it. It's just like investing. If I keep checking my investments account every day, nothing happens.
It's a long-term commitment.
It's just a thing where you have to just stay in it and then you return, but this is where find ways to enjoy this, meaning go do exercises that is cool to you, that looks fun. And the thing with strength training or cardio or anything fitness-wise, you're gonna suck when you first start, and you're not gonna like it because nobody likes to not be good when they start something new. Take podcasting, for example, for you and me, figuring out Riverside, figuring out audio interface. Did I like figuring this out? No, it sucked. I felt so dumb. But was there a curve I had to get through? Yeah, just like everything else in life. She came to Lifetime and she's like, I want to do one of the group fitness classes. I want to do one of the yoga classes. I want to do one of the Pilates classes. And I want to strength train. I want to swim. I want to do everything. And I'm like, sick. Well, if you come here 5 days a week and you do one of everything, even though it's not quote unquote optimal based off of the research, I
Mhm.
don't care. As long as you're in here and you choose to come in here, then that's cool. If you do that, then you're going to get progress by just staying in the game.
I like that a lot because I also always say that muscle is not vanity. It's independence and it's so important. And I know people think I'm crazy when I talk about muscles. I'm always like, hey, that's going to dictate how your life is going to be when you're 70. That's going to dictate, are you able to carry your groceries when you're 70 and 80s? How you going to do, like, you're going to go to Europe with your suitcase? Do you think you're going to have to carry those through the stairs? And we're taking care, our parents are getting older, aging parents. And if we don't have strength for those, and that strength comes from muscles, that's why I keep telling people it's so important. And you just said you're not going to get muscle for going to the gym twice a week and suddenly you're all bulky. It's a long process. It's not an overnight process. It takes a while. So,
Think about the last decade of your life. How do you want to live the last decade of your life?
mhm,
And reverse engineer that back now. So say you were 40 and say the average age that someone lives to is if you're 40 and the average age, easy math, is 80. You have 40 years left that you're going to live here. 40 summers that you're going to have left. Okay. Are you going to spend the next 40 summers trying to start day one? And because if you want that last decade to be you to, well, do you want to be in a nursing home that you are not physically capable of caring for yourself? If the answer is no, then you're not gonna start at 70, because if you start at 70, that's like teaching an old dog a new trick. They're just not gonna do it. How do you want the quality of those years? So
mhm,
that
mhm.
timeline is lifespan. The quality of those years is health span, the quality that you get to have, and then strength span. How much strength do you want each of those decades and years? Because if you don't start now, then who to say that you're going to be at a different place later if you don't make the decision now? Sorry, go on.
No, I have to interrupt because we keep talking about longevity and no one touched what you just said. I love the word longevity, it's everywhere. But what is longevity without the quality of life? And you just, to me, it's like, bingo, we can't talk about longevity without talking about quality of life.
I have worked with people who've gotten traumatic brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, elderly degenerative. I've seen all of the possible life scenarios at that end stage of people who are physically incapable of doing anything for themselves. In During my master's, I worked as a CNA, certified nursing assistant, and I wiped their ass. I took care of them. I carried people in the hoist system from their bed to their chairs. I've seen the possibility of that reality, and it just reinforces for me and for people to remember anything can happen in a blink of an eye, but at the same time, you have the choice today to do something about it. And I'm not telling people just because I want to run marathons and I want to do crazy fitness goals, endeavors for my own soul, does not mean that has to be your fitness. You get to define what success looks like to you, but understand you're paying a cost every single day. And if you're worried about, am I going to make the right decision? Am I going to do this form correctly? We never know if we're making the right decision. You just have to make a decision and make it right. And understand that you are going to make mistakes because you're human and you're going to have to learn. And so, how physically capable do you want to be? Do you want to be in a wheelchair because of your own doing? Do you want to not be able to pick up a box? Do you want to be worried that you're gonna fall and break a hip because you spent 60 years of not getting your bones stronger, and the second you trip over your feet, you're out?
You make your own choices, but whatever choices you're making now is going to determine how you're going to live in 40 or 50 years from now. I have just few questions for you. It's just a little game and then we can close. I call the metabolism card. It's called guilty, not guilty, or wrongly accused. Just quick answers. All right. Cardio, guilty, not guilty, wrongly accused.
Not guilty?
Okay. Carbs, guilty, not guilty, wrongly accused.
Not guilty.
Confusion is the crime. Lifting heavy, guilty, not guilty, or wrongly accused.
Not guilty.
All right. Sweat, guilty, not guilty, wrongly accused. Is the amount of sweat corresponding to a good workout success?
Uh, no.
The scale, guilty, not guilty, wrongly accused, maybe misunderstood.
I'd have to change my answer for all of them. I think everything's misunderstood.
And I love it. I love the conversation. The verdict here is to build the body that supports you. And muscle is one of the biggest gifts that we can have it. Calvin, is there anything else that you can share with us?
Thank you for having me on today.
And where can people find you?
You can find me any social platforms. Just type in my name, Calvin Trieu, TRIEU.co across all platforms. Demand more.
Thank you for everyone who is listening to this podcast. And remember, your metabolism is not missing. The body is not broken. Your body just might be asking for a different signal, maybe strength or consist. Maybe your body is asking for the strength, the consistency, the devotion, the recovery, the support, more calories. That's how we answer the call. Thank you for everyone listening to the Call Movement podcast, and I'll see you next time.